All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Storm Talk. It is now 17 minutes after the hour on this last few moments here of spring. I'm waiting for meteorologist Brian Good. All right, as I alluded to, whether you're watching on the app or on social media, we have a lot to talk about today. And it's, as usually the case, whenever I have a chance to do these live blog updates, it's an opportunity to go a little bit beyond just a 3-minute weathercast that we have in our newscast, which is not a whole lot of time. May seem like a lot, but trust me, it goes by really fast. And when you have an active setup, it's tough to really pick out everything you need to know, but we try to make sure that you know certainly what's going to happen in the short term and give you a heads up of down the road as well as much as we can. But here, this is our discussion between you and I, where we have a chance to talk about even more than just what is happening in the short term, long term, and try to have more of a conversation about what is expected. So that's the game plan today. As always, if you have any questions, I'm already seeing some of your comments and your reports. Thank you for letting me know, and keep letting me know too what it's like in your area. For those of you that are watching on the streaming live right now on the Fire Stick or on Roku, you are likely not able to see the comments, but you will on the playback, which will be automatically on the site, by the way, not long after I'm done here today. Okay, so enough of me rambling. Let me talk about the most important thing, right? That is, if I can hit the right button, the countdown to summer. We are 1 hour, trust me, I can read, 1 hour and 39 minutes away until the summer solstice. Your life will change forever. Get ready. All right, let's talk about, first off, the tropics. I'm going to get that out of the way so I can then focus on local weather, but I know some of you are keeping an eye on the tropics for any of your vacation plans. Totally understand that. So we're still watching Brett, which is getting a little stronger, quite organized as is approaching the Antilles here very soon. May get close to hurricane before it is forecast to weaken. And then we have another wave, which is still on tap to become Cindy, based on all the indications, which is right behind it. Obviously, the stronger it gets, faster, the more likely it will curve away from a lot of the island chain in the U.S. mainland. Now, Brett's a little different. Brett will actually be weakening, therefore will not be pulled as far north and may avoid quite a few land areas after it gets past the islands and stay just south of the Dominican Republic and Cuba. But we'll be watching it. But the trend is still there for it to weaken. That's some good news if you have plans or friends or family there. All right, back here at home, it looks like a hurricane, right? Not exactly the prettiest of moments. And it actually wasn't too bad for the past, 3 hours. And then this happened. These downpours starting to get a little more of a kick to them. And there's, again, moving backwards here today, but obviously it is making things messy out. So if you made it to work already and you're watching, this is what you can expect for lunch. And if you haven't left the house for work yet, there is still time to call in. I'll write you a note. Here's a look at the radar. Remember, backwards weather because there's the general flow of the low pressure the way it is. We're getting everything coming in from the east. Most of this you see here is showing green, which is the different levels of intensity. At times, you're getting a little bit of yellow that is flashing up, and that indicates a little more of a moderate rain. We've seen that certainly in Carroll County. In fact, Carrollton is over a half inch of rain already because not only are you seeing the one band move through, but if you look carefully at the animation, the loop there of the actual radar, you'll be able to see that the yellow kind of builds over and repeats itself for a good hour, hour and a half when that happens. That's more of a back building scenario when that takes place. That is common of these kind of waves. And that's what we have to watch out for, where some areas could, as we say, overachieve on rainfall amounts and get over a half inch, which is certainly possible. In Louisville, the rain is certainly increasing right over the city of Louisville, along River Road, I-71, right over the airport, Okolona, Newburgh Road, down into Heritage Creek, Highview, Hillview. It's certainly the southern end of Jefferson County and Bullitt County. We need to watch for any of that overachieving because you guys are just absolutely waterlogged still from the rain Monday. And getting a half inch, an inch of rain may not seem like a lot, but that will push you. That will push you to the point where you can get some minor flash flooding and some of the creeks will begin to rise. And if you live in a low-lying area and your yard floods, you will have to deal with that. So yay. There's more to be had, especially across Washington County, Spencer County, Bullitt County, and Nelson, dealing with a moderate rainfall increasing. FYI, I posted this on Twitter, but 65 northbound is closed at 11 and Junction there near the Joe Prather. There's a semi crash. Apparently, I think there's a rollover involved as well, but they've closed 65 north. You can't get anywhere past the Joe Prather, and that is a mess with the heavy rain, and it's going to take some time for them to get the scene cleared up. They may try to open up a lane or two, but a lot of delays for anyone coming out of E-Town, heading north. So just a big heads up on that. The rain, again, just aggravating that whole setup there for them to try to get everything taken care of. Hope everyone's okay. This rain will continue to move west or east to west. I'm dyslexic, so when it's already backwards, I'm in trouble. This wave is attached to two other areas of low pressure, which is pretty wild. The main one we've been tracking all week, that is still located across, say, near the Smoky Mountains. Still producing quite a bit of rainfall, especially in the foothills. We talked about that moisture being pushed right into the Smokies, causing some problems there with a lot of heavy rain and mudslides that are taking place and landslides. There's a secondary low, which is natural for a low to develop anytime you get showers and storms near the Gulf Stream. Low pressure automatically will get induced. That's how you get your nor'easters in the wintertime. That's exactly what that's trying to do. So there's a secondary low there. And then we have what I call mini-me. It's our baby low that is right over, say, Frankfort at the moment. And it's the reason why there's a little bit of that back building that was happening. This is actually moving westbound because it's not strong enough to do its own thing. It's basically caught up. And they really all are caught up in a general counterclockwise flow. So this one's going to keep going west. I don't think it's going to have as much of a kick the more west of 65 it does travel later today. So I think the most of its showing off today is going to be along and east of 65. Now, this is going to mess up temperatures today, just FYI, because we're not going to move at all today on the thermometer. As long as this rain's coming down, thermometer is going to be right there, upper 60s, right around 70, something like that. It's not going to move. Once it gets a little more west, even with a cloudy sky, we'll try to recover and gain some degrees, but it'll be very last minute. I'm talking like 5 or 6 o'clock. We'll start to see a little bit of a rise. The more east you are, because you'll be a little out of the clearing faster, you may have a chance to go a little closer to 80 or so. It's possible, but just don't expect a very warm day. Yeah, what a letdown for the first day of summer, right? Temperature should be 87 for this date. Not today, even if it is the longest day of the year. Now, meanwhile, it's important to note on the other side of this whole mess is what's still happening in Texas, because the temperature there, I talked about yesterday, had that weather balloon launched, and they ended up setting like a record for the amount of heat that was way up in the atmosphere where that weather balloon recorded in southern Texas since back in 1954. It's the last time they had that. The intense heat is significant because you're getting over 110 actual temperatures, but you're also getting a heat index of 120. Look how much of the state is under an excessive heat warning. And this is going to last a while, maybe all the way past 4th of July. This is going to take a big toll on Texas. It seems like all the extremes seem to happen there lately, but they are certainly going to be battling that. Now, why am I pointing that out? Well, for obvious reasons. It's a pretty big ordeal. But remember yesterday I was talking about how the pattern in the jet, the way it's lining up, where we're getting this big ridge that's forming here over the heat shield, and then it dips down in the Ohio Valley roughly and goes back up again. That's why these lows keep getting trapped when that dip happens. Well, the setup as we head into Sunday night into Monday is going to feature a true battle zone that it's almost going to be more of a spring-like scenario between the very intense heat and some wind energy get involved in thunderstorms. So that's why I think severe weather will become a little more of a topic. More on that in a second. Let's focus on the short term real quick. I'm going to show you at least just the general trends of everything I've tried to describe in the past 10 minutes. And that is the wave of rainfall, again, heading westbound as we head the remainder of the day. Notice again, there's not as much of a kick to it, the more west it goes. And look how Carrollton gets to 83 later after having some heavy rain this morning. And you guys rarely get up to that level compared to the city. But that's the case. Again, if you get that rain out in time, you will actually have a nice recovery. Now, this will fade out tonight. I don't see much happening overnight tonight. Then tomorrow, the low, and it's not the mini-me, but it's the main low down into Georgia and the Smokies, that will begin to lift north into eastern Kentucky. Now, it's going to focus most of its rain wherever that spin is, closer to the spin, which is going to be mainly I-75 and points east. But at times, it will still have an influence on our weather, and we will have a pretty decent northeast wind much of the day tomorrow. So what does that mean? Well, look out the window right now. See how kind of crummy it is and rainy, and temperatures are about 68 to 70. That's exactly how it will likely be for much of the day tomorrow as well. So the first full day of summer, not getting much better. I don't see as much of a heavy rain scenario with these downpours because we don't have a mini-me in the area, and I really don't want to make mini-me a thing, so no one hashtag it. But I do think the center of the low will provide heavy rain in eastern Kentucky, but I don't see as much happening here. But eventually that low finally moves, does something exciting, and gets into the eastern Great Lakes and will begin to fall apart. As that happens, summer will then try to gain control officially. You should see some improvements on Friday, more so Saturday. And for much of Sunday, I do think it will be quite warm. In fact, it may even be quite hot, relatively speaking, as we into Sunday. Could get back to 90 for the first time in a while for Sunday afternoon. But then that leads us to the setup of what's going to happen here for Sunday night, Monday, and beyond. Now, here is the best way I can illustrate this, and I'll show you some of the severe weather components of this. But you can see the heat that builds. Now, this is a lot of moisture, too, that's going to be funneling in ahead of a front that is going to be diving down. This is one of those lows that is going to be dropping out of the northern plains, and it's going to just dip down into the Great Lakes and then move along. That's fine. I don't see it diving all the way down to here, which would be a big ordeal, but it's going to just kind of a glancing blow through the Ohio Valley and the Great Lakes. The problem is the cold front it's attached to it. It will also drop down, increase severe thunderstorms across the northern plains and the Midwest as we head into Sunday and parts of Monday even. But then the front, the question is, will the front actually go all the way through here, kind of like a U shape? It'll dip down. If that happens, we will then get drier air to flow in, and that will end the rain chance for a couple of days next week. But there are signs that the front may drop in with severe weather and thunderstorms and then get stuck in a more east-west fashion for a few days. That would only be bad news, though, because that would promote not only heavy rain that would train over the same spots, but it would also be a daily chance for strong thunderstorms and severe weather. So both scenarios are still on the table. We just don't know yet how much that front will have the ability to get through the region because, again, this heat shield is an anomaly. It's a rare event that is happening for them right now. So there's not a lot of data to go with historically on this kind of scenario, but we know that it's a strong ridge. So this front has certainly got a battle to it. But the Euro at the moment is one of those models that likes the idea that it wants to push the front all the way through. So you see the active setup. Some scenarios are Sunday night, some are Monday afternoon. It's still about a 20-hour difference on the model, so be patient with us on that. We're just going to go relatively increasing on the rain chance and the storm chance to account for both ideas. And then as we get into about Tuesday, Wednesday, and even Thursday, again, as long as the front moves through, we will get a little bit of a quiet period and cooler too, and drier air will flow in and so forth. However, there is another issue to watch out for. I hope you guys are paying attention and are writing this all down because there will be a quiz. At the end of next week, another system wants to move through it, but here's the problem is that we still have that heat shield that's going on in Texas and Oklahoma. We may get stuck into what we call a northwest flow, which may promote complexes of thunderstorms in a repeated fashion. And this may continue to keep going and going. About every 2 or 3 days, we may have to deal with heavy rain and thunderstorms. We talked about it briefly yesterday, but at least we'll let you know that signal is certainly still there. So the severe weather outlook for next week. This is from the what we call the SIPS, which is an analog service, which they take historically as much as they can and try to put that into the weather brain and see what it spits out to say what are the chances of severe weather in this kind of a setup that's coming our way. And it's fairly widespread on the Ohio Valley area and the Northeast for about 2 or 3 days next week, because again, it doesn't know yet how much of that drop that front will have, so that could lead to big time problems when severe weather takes place. There is also what we call the CSU. It's a learning module that also is trying to adapt to weather conditions and historic events. It too is signaling. Now, I'm only going to show here, this is going to be Sunday night, Monday. It shows the severe threat across the Midwest. That black dot right there is where it thinks, that's northern Arkansas, where it thinks the max potential will be on severe weather. Notice on the right, the Storm Prediction Center does not have an outlook yet, but they are considering it. And I think if we were to see one come out for, I would say Sunday or Monday, it would likely be focused basically where that yellow is on the left. I think it would be the western side of our area, so along and west of 65. But if that front gets stuck, then we may see a multi-day event for next week. So there you go. So that wasn't so bad. That only took me 17 minutes. Any questions on that part of it all? Anything you're not clear on? Anything you want to know? It's a lot. I'm sure right now there's not much you really can ask because it's too early. Mary Ann, need a chance? We'll be able to join an outdoor concert this Sunday. I think you're okay on Sunday afternoon. I think it's Sunday night and get into Monday. I think that's where it's going to be a bigger issue there. Ashley likes the mini-me, the tiny low. There you go. Good point, Karen. Rather have the rain than be into a drought. That's true. That is very true. I don't like the extreme, so I think we need to try to balance this out as much as we can, because you go from a drought scenario back to flooding, back to drought. It's not good. Right now, though, I think our drought situation may be improving. The drought map will come out. Is today Wednesday? Today's Wednesday, right? I'm getting confused. The drought update will be out actually 24 hours from now. 24 hours from now to be out. Got a feeling it'll be improved. Although they sampled the ground yesterday. So if you are getting rain for the first time this week and you are in the drought zone, you probably will still be in the drought zone when the map comes out tomorrow. So just kind of a heads up on that. I know it's kind of weird how that's done, but it takes a little bit of time for them to get the map drawn after they sample everything on Tuesdays. So hope that makes sense. Let's see. Hey, Jamie. Hope Serendity's doing well. Will Brett affect the track of Cindy? Good question, Dan. They do tend to play off each other, where there could be a little more of a bouncing off or ricocheting that would happen with Cindy, but it's more about the environment right now for Brett. It's moving into an environment that's just not good for it to maintain right now, which is good. And for Cindy, if it's already looking decent and if it gets a little stronger than what Brett did at that point, that longitude, then there is a chance. Historically, when that happens, we usually see the systems begin to turn a lot sooner than Brett will. So try to remember, a stronger system will tend to turn a lot faster than a weak system will, which is the reason why hurricanes around here, there's been very few that have been really strong way out in the Atlantic, and they've stayed strong all the way to the United States. It's rare. It's happened, but it's not common. Typically, our biggest hurricanes actually get stronger when they get close to us. and then they ramp up, and that becomes a big ordeal because they stay just weak enough to kind of slide by, try to be sneaky, and then they get powerful. And then at that point, when they turn, it's too late. They're too close to land. So the scenario of it getting stronger early out in the Atlantic faster is usually a gooder sign. Boy, I need to go to bed. Is a good sign that it's going to turn. So I hope that answered your question on that one. Well, good. I hope that she's doing well, Jamie. Thanks. Hi, Serenity. All right, guys. I'm going to jet. I'm going to get back to the radar and track these downpours moving through, and I'm going to have an update on that coming up at midday at 11 a.m. And I'll see what the new data is showing here for early next week when it starts to roll in. But more than likely, we'll have to wait until later today to see how that trends. Ryan Hoke will have an update as well as Kevin Harned this afternoon on the latest trends with that. But it's only Wednesday, so I'm just trying to give you guys as much of a heads up as I can on that. So kind of keep that in mind too as you make your plans there. All right, have a good rest of the day. Try to stay dry, everybody. And if you're sleepy and you need to take a nap, go take a nap. And if you still need me to write me a note for work, I'll write you one.